Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Warning! This video contains spoilers for the 1985 movie Lifeforce. It may also contain images of Matilda May's bare breasts. You have been warned. Thank you and have a nice day.
Hello and welcome to this video. Before we get into it, I want to remind everybody that on Saturday and Sunday I upload one video each day, and it's a full episode of Welcome to Night Vale, which is a satire lapun and just comedy that makes fun and homages the horror genre. It is a blast, and I would encourage you to go listen to this podcast outside of my videos with my commentary, and if you like it enough, throw a little bit of green, help them out. You know, they do a lot of stuff and they do it for free, so get some merch. With all that being said, now let's get into this video. Imagine for a moment, if you would, it's 1985. There's a movie that comes out. It had a modest budget of $25 million. The script was written by Dan O'Bannon, who about 10 years later, 18 years beforehand, gave us Alien. The movie was based on a fairly popular cult pulp novel. The special effects were being done by Richard Dykstra, the man who did Star Wars, that little Lucasfilm that came out in '76, and the movie starred people like, and I've got my cheat sheet over here, Steve Railsback, Peter Filth, Frank Finley, Matilda May, and Patrick Stewart. Yes, this is, you figure, okay, this movie's gonna rock. 25 million, it's 1985, we got our shoulder pads in, and we're ready to rock and roll. Unfortunately, people weren't. And the movie I am talking about is Lifeforce. With a budget of $25 million, its theatrical run brought in a whopping $11.6 million, making this a disastrous film as far as box office goes. Fortunately, over the years, it has gathered a cult following. This was a big budget movie. It had a lot of really good special effects. The script wasn't the best, it wasn't the worst, it was what you'd expect from a mediocre script in the mid-80s. O'Bannon wasn't working at full force. I believe he was either just getting ready to or just came off of writing some of the segments for heavy metal, which I may do a video on, but that's going to be a hard video to do because you can only get away with so many bare breasts before YouTube gets upset with you. And heavy metal has a lot of bare breasts. But so does this movie. I've heard it joked that where a lot of actresses have no nudity clauses in their contracts, over the years, Matilda, the joke has come around that Matilda May has a no clothing clause in her contracts. And in this movie, I think, and then I think it's an hour and a half. Yeah, hour and a half it looks like. Matilda wears clothes for like about 8 minutes, 9 minutes tops. You get to see a lot of everything of Matilda May in this movie. Patrick Stewart has said in interviews that this movie is the first time he had an on-screen kiss, and it was with Steve Railsback. So, go figure there. So, this movie is based on the 1976, like I said, pulp novel Space Vampires. So this is one of those. It was the novel in and of itself. You can still get it. I think it's still. You can find it in used bookstores on occasion. I every now and then I have a copy of it somewhere on that bookshelf behind me, one of those two bookshelves behind me. But it's one of those ones. I don't think it was mass produced. I think it was mass produced so much that that book will be around forever. But it's a quaint little story, very much in the same feel. It gives you the same feel of, say, Pulp Fiction. It's a very pulpy, future noir type novel. Like I said, it's not a bad little read. It's no Robert Heinlein or Frank Herbert, but or Isaac Asimov, but it gives you something to divert your mind for a while. And not a very long while, I should say, because even as dyslexic as I am, as slow reader as I am, this novel didn't take me very long for me to read. The author of the novel is one Mr. Colin Wilson. And if you like just kind of trashy pulp fluff type stuff, I would recommend going and reading this. I won't look for it as an audiobook. It's probably not. I don't think anyone's going to spend the money to make that an audiobook. But our story basically is you have astronauts. Space shuttle program's still going on, by the way, in this universe. And you have basically, instead of like, you have an American Space Agency, European, Chinese, whatever, you have just kind of like a global, allied type space program. So everybody's kind of cool with each other at this point. They've sent this, Halley's Comet is approaching Earth, so they send a shuttle up to check it. Just do scientific stuff. And in the tail of the comet, the astronauts discover a spaceship. And the astronauts said, hey, what would be fun? Let's go check that spaceship out. And when they do, they find these humanoid bat creature things. And the effects on them they're great. I mean, it's beautiful. The effects for the effects technology of 1985. These are some awesome effects. Some really good effects. So they continue on. They're bebopping around doing their little space floaty thing. Then they find these, looks like crystals, which remind me of the Christopher Reeve Superman, the Fortress of Solitude type looking thing. They find what appears to be humans. 3 humans, 1 male, 1 female, and none of them have clothes on. So astronauts, being astronauts, decide they're going to remove these crystals with these humans in and take it back to their space shuttle. And they do. Then when the space shuttle is late to getting back to Earth, the space people on Earth, the people that run the space agency, send up the space shuttle Columbia to find out what's going on. What they find is one of the escape pods has been jettisoned, and the rest of the crew are burnt to a crisp, like crispy critter crisp. They load everything up, the dead bodies, the people in their nudity, and they return back to Earth. And they take our nude humans, or human-looking things, and they do scientist stuff with them. Then the captain, Steve Rayo's character, is presumed dead, but he turns up later. His memory's like super fuzzy. Then once he returns, all hell breaks out. You have looting and fighting and mayhem, and vampires, our 3 nudies, become awake. They awaken and they start feeding on people. Then it is found out that they can transfer their conscious, when their physical body is dying or has been injured, they can transfer their essence into other people. And at one point, Matilda May, her character, by the way, in the credits, is listed simply as Space Girl. Yeah. If you don't believe me, go to IMDb and check it out. And Space Girl transfers her conscious into Patrick Stewart's character. And Space Girl is basically there to reclaim Steve Rayo's character, who evidently was a undercover or plant that has brain erased. That he's one of those vampires. And you have all the government shenanigans and all that going on. And finally, Space Girl and Steve Rayo's return to space. And that is basically a nutshell. This is a fun movie. It is not something you want to go into being very serious. It is, if you're looking for a serious science fiction horror, this is not it. This is kind of a tongue-in-cheek, pulpy, like I said, it's kind of, it has that dark mystery noir feel to it. And you have lots of nudity. It's just really, it's interesting. Do I think this movie could be made today? Probably not. No, not the way it is, not the way that it is now. You could probably sit down with the book, go back to the source material, go back to the book, and pull out the concepts like the space vampires and the spy brain wiped and planted in as a human and all that stuff, but smooth it, fill in the gaps with some good writing. I have a feeling that Dan O'Bannon may have been sidetracked, may have had other more important things on his plate at that time, and though this isn't bad, it's just not good. It's not great. It's a little bit better than middle of the road, but not quite good. So just kind of that gray area between middle of the road and good. It has a cult following, and it is well worth, if you like that type of fluff type stories, it is well worth checking out. I would recommend it to anybody that likes pulpy, science fiction-y, Rogers Lagnia type books, to check it out. I would also recommend checking out the novel, the source material that this comes from. I'll go ahead and wrap this up here. And remember, everybody, be a good human. Be good to other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?